The hardest year of my life actually happened while I was working at Disney, and it began the day that I collapsed in front of Mickey. So back in 2017, I had been working for Disney for about 8 months or so. I had been loving my job. I was at studios. I was having a good time. I'd settled in, made it home, and just had a great time there. And then I ran into something that just it threw everything out of whack. I had been feeling a little bit of pain and discomfort, just not quite right. Uh, in my groin area, made it a little awkward to walk a little bit, but nothing bad. Figured maybe I had pulled a muscle. I was a very active photographer. I was one of these that I was down on my knees and stand up and move around, and I moved a lot to take my pictures. So it wouldn't have surprised me at all if I had strained a muscle or something and took a little bit of time to heal. And so that's kind of what I was assuming it was, except it wasn't healing. And after a couple days, the pain was getting a little worse. And I remember it probably was January 10th. Yes, somewhere right around there. I had been working on Hollywood Boulevard with a bunch of others. We were having a great time. We were playing with each other while playing with the crowd and taking our pictures. The parade came, and we actually got the crowd so hooped up for the parade that we got the whole crowd on Hollywood Boulevard to do the wave with us cheering them on. Uh, got just had a great time. It's funny when you see the wave going up and down Hollywood Boulevard. Then we all kind of lined up at the end and we marched off just before the parade, did our own little deal, and we had a good time. But I remember thinking the whole time I was doing that, going, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. But I was working the next few days, and so not any chance. The next day, the 11th, I went in and I was shooting Sorcerer Mickey over at Animation Courtyard. Having a good time. Mickey is kind of in the center area of everything. He's a very active shoot because you get lots of little kids, which means lots of getting down on one knee, and then lots of adults, which means you back up. And so there's a lot of up, down, up, down, up, down with him. And of course I'm in pain, and I'm having a hard time moving around the way I want to. And I go down at one point on one knee, and I just can't get back up. It goes from just a discomfort to a really sharp pain. And I'm going, okay, this isn't good. And so I shoot the next set of guests down on the one knee, hand them their card, and I go to get up, and it goes from really bad pain to so bad I flopped. I collapsed. Poor Mickey is standing there looking at me like, oh my goodness, what do I do? And I'm sitting there thinking, you're in your sorcerer outfit, Mickey. How about like waving and doing something and making it go away? Unfortunately, Mickey couldn't do that. And poor Mickey's freaking out a little bit. The character attendant immediately called out for some help. Our base, where our manager and the coordinators and everybody was actually through a back door in the place where we were at, through a door, and then off to the right, and it was right there. So we had a manager on the spot pretty quick, checking on me. I'm not moving. I am just in so much pain. I can't move. And so they get another photographer there pretty quick and helped me up and kind of helped me out the back door. And what's going on, I don't know. All I know is I hurt. I hurt so bad. So we got me set up with an immediate appointment over at the medical center. Disney actually has its own cast medical area behind Epcot. It's if you have a workman's comp issue, that's where you go. If you don't have your own doctor, you can actually go there. It is provided for the cast members, but that's basically your workman's comp area. And of course, their first priority is, okay, let's find out what's wrong with you. And two, let's try to make sure it's not Disney's fault. At this point, I'm thinking it's a hernia. I've never had a hernia, but I'm thinking just with this pain and what I've heard, this must be it. And so I go in for the exam, and the doctor checks me out, pulls me in, and he says, well, it's not a hernia. You've got something going on. You got something wrong, but it's not a hernia and it's not a pulled muscle. You need to go see your doctor like ASAP. Well, at this point, it's later in the afternoon. My doctor's not available, so we call him. We can get an appointment for me first thing in the morning. I go home. I'm not moving, but the next day happened to be my birthday. So, hey, I got a day off. No problem. We can get this figured out, and then we can let them know. So I go into my doc. He does the same exam. The wonderful, comfortable exam. And he looks at me and goes, you've definitely got something wrong. There's something there. I don't know what. There's a few possibilities. There's a couple of very, very serious, including one life-threatening possibility, and I can't tell what it is. But I'm going to send you down to a sonogram. Let's get some pictures. Let's find out what's happening, and let's get this figured out so we can get it right away, because I was in so much pain. I'm not moving. I'm not walking. I'm having to be helped everywhere I go. Off I go down to the sonogram area. Doc writes me a note. Because this is potentially life-threatening, he writes on this note, needs sonogram, exam, this and that, stat. Now, I don't remember what stat stands for, but I do know that it means immediate, like right away, now, life-threatening, get him in, skip the others. So I go down to the sonogram center, and I'm sitting there waiting. Now, if you know much about sonogram centers, who is the big customer there? It's pregnant women having their babies checked out. And so I am the only guy in the lobby. I'm the only guy waiting. You've got all these women that are excited to see their babies, and they're all happy, and I'm sitting there going, I could possibly be dying. I might have something that could kill me. And I'm still waiting. And I literally watch every single woman in that lobby go in first. I watched several that walked in after me then go in. And I'm like, this doesn't look like stat when they've pulled everybody else in. So I walk over to the counter and I'm like, how much longer is it going to be? Well, we've got all these other women with appointments that they had appointments before you, and we have to get them in first because they had an appointment. And I went, whoa, did you look at the slip? Well, yeah, but this is our standard procedure. I'm like, did you look at the slip? Did you see where it said stat? Yes, but we still have to. What does stat mean to you? Ma'am, I'm looking at a potentially life-threatening situation. One of these ladies, if they're waiting for an extra 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it's not going to threaten them. But in my case, the one potential issue, I had about a 12 to 15 hour timeline. Like, get me in. Well, but they're like life-threatening. Stat. 5 minutes later, I'm in. Had a gentleman who examined me, gets me down, does the whole sonogram bit. That was real comfortable, between being cold and where it was and how it was. And as he's looking at it, he goes, well, okay, I can tell you it's not the life-threatening one. Oh, thank goodness. But you have a growth. You have a most definite growth. 95% of the time, those growths aren't benign. It's probably cancer. I'm going to recommend you get back together with your doctor tomorrow. You're going to be okay tonight. So at least I could breathe, but cancer. On my birthday. Happy birthday to me. You've got cancer. Sorry, Craig. Yeah, great birthday present. Let's just say my birthday dinner that night was very subdued. Talked to my doctor again. He got me set up for surgery. Surgery wasn't going to happen for a month. I'm in so much pain, I can't work. There's no way I can go in. So Doc writes a note. I let them know that I'm going to need some extended time off. I don't have surgery for a month. So I go on a leave of absence, medical disability. The problem when you go on medical disability is it's weeks before your disability pay kicks in, assuming you put it on your benefits package, which I did, thankfully. And then your short-term disability is typically like half your pay. And so the pay is terrible. And then you've got to wait this whole time. I waited a month to go in. They finally scheduled surgery on Valentine's Day. Wow, this has already screwed up my birthday. Now we're going to screw up Valentine's Day too. Um, I get surgery. I'm going to need recovery time. It took 2 weeks to recover from the surgery. Get the results back. Yep, it's cancer. But we caught it early. We caught it before anything's happened. We caught it before it grew. We caught it in a good time. So you're not going to need to do chemo. You're not going to need to do anything else. But we are going to do some radiation just to make sure. So with the type of cancer, they basically have to zap here. Radiation for most people is not a big deal. It's like going in for an x-ray. You go in, you get zapped, and then you go off to work or school or whatever else. And I'd go into the lobby in the morning, and I would watch everybody else get zapped, and off they go to work. You know, my first day, I went into the lobby, set up everything, got my tattoos, because if you do radiation, they mark you with tattoos so they can line that camera up right. And then from there, got zapped, and I'm halfway driving home, which is about a 25-minute drive, and I get sick. So I'm not good. I'm by myself because my wife has to work. And so I'm like, all right, well, maybe it was just an off day. Because people don't get sick from radiation. Well, the next day, go in, get zapped, halfway home. I mean, I could time this thing. At that point, I called the doc and said, okay, doc, I'm pretty sure radiation's making me sick. No, nobody gets sick from radiation. 95% of people don't have any reaction at all. You're just imagining this. Like, doc, it was twice in a row at the same time. They gave me a day off so I could recover a little bit. I said, go back in. You're imagining this. Well, sure enough, third time, halfway home, almost to the minute. And I call up and said, look, I've got this timed. It's 3 different times. This is making me sick. Well, people don't usually do that, but for the few that do, 95% of people, no reaction. I'm the lucky 5%. It did to me what chemo does to a lot of people. I ended up in a pattern for the next 2 months where it was get zapped in the morning, and then halfway home while I'm driving, I'd have to take this massive old horse pill. So I always had to keep a glass of water in the car, take this pill, chug the water, finish driving home. That pill managed to keep me okay until I got home. I got home, I'd walk in the door, I would go straight to my room and straight to bed. I'm done. And I'd sleep for the next 5 hours, which meant I wasn't awake until late afternoon, early evening when most people are eating dinner. Well, the other problem that the radiation and this pill did was there were a lot of smells that started making me sick. There was a lot of food I couldn't eat. And so I had 2 months where I wasn't eating. I slept all the time. I had no energy to do anything. Cancer sucks. It wiped me out. The other problem is your immune system is actually based in your gut. When you get sick, this is where your antibodies are produced. And so the radiation killed my immune system, which meant I didn't have the natural antibodies to fight off anything. Well, Florida's got so many diseases because of the swamps and stuff. Once I started getting better, I started getting sick a lot more. I get cleared with the radiation. I finish it up. I'm still sick. I'm still feeling lousy, but the disability pay stinks. I've got to go back to work. And so I go to my doc and, hey, what are we going to do? He clears me for work. I go back and I'm not ready for it. My immune system is done. A cold would go around and people, be sick for a couple days. I'd be so sick I couldn't get out of bed for a week. My immune system couldn't come back up. I would not come up. It was like, what is the deal? Well, part of the deal is when you have no immune system, there's another organ that kind of helps reboot it. One that we used to think was just nothing. It didn't do anything, called the appendix. I lost my appendix shortly before my daughter was born. So I've got no appendix and I have a totally zapped immune system. I got nothing to fight any sort of illness with. And that kind of makes it hard when you're supposed to go to work and you're sick and you can't get up. And so Disney has this system of what they call points that keeps track of when you miss work and how often you miss work. And if you get so many points a certain period of time, you get ridden up, reprimanded, or fired. And over the course of the next 3 months, 4 months, while I'm trying to recover from cancer, I'm stacking up points because I keep getting sick and I can't fight it off. And so I went into my doc and said, hey, doc, I'm having a hard time here. Can you fill out the FMLA at least? So that way I can, get some chance to recover and not have it held against me. So he fills out this big old packet of papers. Or at least he checks off a couple boxes, says it's been cleared to return to work, and signs it. And completely leaves off the other part about still fighting the illness and everything. So it was a worthless piece of paper. Didn't solve anything. Well, I couldn't get better. And by June, just fairly quick, June of that year, I believe it was, June or July, my points had run up enough that I was about to get fired because I just couldn't recover. And so I came in, sat down with the manager and said, what am I going to do? It was like, my doctor screwed up the FMLA. Actually, it was a little later than that. It might have been August. It didn't fill it out right. I can't get it refilled out. He's not going to do it. I don't want to lose my job, but I'm about to. And so the manager there at Magic Kingdom, love her to death, said, okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to put in your 2-week notice. So that way you're still eligible for rehire. We're going to give you a month off because when you quit, you can't get rehired for 30 days. That gives you 30 days to recover, to get your health back, to rest up. And then in 30 days, here's the day you'll be eligible for rehire. Come back into the casting center. I'm going to let them know to be ready for you. 30 days on the dot. I'm walking into the casting center and the Photopass hirer is actually sitting there waiting for me. Says, I knew you were coming in today. Here's your spot. Here's your rehire letter. And it just boom, boom. We pushed everything quick and got me right back on. The biggest difference was I went from a full-time employee when I got cancer to now I could only be part-time, which meant no benefits. It also meant lower pay, but also meant I only got scheduled 2 days, so I didn't have as much time to work. And then I could pick up other shifts at the last minute and fill in the gaps when I was feeling good. So I missed a lot less shifts because I was scheduled for a lot less shifts, and that worked out. It did hurt our finances. Over the course of that year, like I said, I got diagnosed on my birthday in January. Come Christmas, there's no money because I've had all this time off. I've had all these bills, and this is where we really begin to struggle financially. And over the next, ton of years, we had been okay up to that point. But this really, it broke us. It emptied our accounts. It ran up a ton of debt. And it kind of set up this pattern. But come Christmas, it was the one Christmas where we literally had nothing. We were having to have other people put food in our cupboard because we couldn't even afford food. My wife was trying to work. The paycheck she had as a teacher at a charter school paid our mortgage, our utilities, and gas and a couple other things. And that was it. There was nothing else left. And so I still remember Christmas where we told the kids, sorry, there's not going to be anything this year. I wish there was, but with me fighting cancer and it just killed everything. And I still remember the night before. We had no clue, and we had 4 families. Bless us. And as I'm laying there on the couch in the living room, all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and they just start bringing in all this stuff. Our kids had actually already gone to bed, so they didn't know. And just this parade, we had the biggest Christmas ever. And it meant so much after that year of struggling so hard. Of just being sick all the time and not being able to do anything and not pay bills. And just that simple act of kindness. Gosh, here I am. Still gets me choked up. That was the hardest year we ever had. But that Christmas also let us know, kind of signaled to us, that we hadn't been forgotten and that things were going to work out. And it did. It picked up from there, and I gradually got better. But that was the hardest year of our life. It was the year that I got cancer and collapsed in front of Mickey. But we made it through. And I know a lot of you are probably struggling with stuff too. You'll make it through. I like to joke that my favorite words in the Bible were, and it came to pass. It will pass. It will pass. Hold on. Keep going. It will pass. And better stuff will come. It did for us, that's for sure. We had a number of other things happen that year that also made it hard, but that year I had cancer was the hardest year that we had. But it came through. And it got better. And we saw some amazing things happen. And I look back now, and I mean, I hated it at the time, but it sounds goofy, but I can look back now and say I'm grateful we made it through. We learned a lot. We grew a lot. And as crazy as it sounds, it was actually good for us. Cancer stinks. I've lost way too many friends and family to it. But that was the year that we learned to keep going. To keep going. Keep going. You'll get there. I hope this inspired you. Hope it blessed you. Thank you so much to my supporters for their support. It means so much to me, and there's so much more there. Check the description. Hit that like button, share and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. God bless.
Hey, what's that button?
That button will show you another one of our videos.
And that one?
That one will help you subscribe if you haven't already.
Oh, and then there's all these names floating by?
Yeah, this is all of our supporters on Patreon and YouTube members.
Oh, so those are the ones that get the special perks.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about that, click on that button right there.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
And thanks for watching.
God bless.